Hi
Okay.
guys! Thank you so much for tuning in. This is my beautiful friend Abby. I just thought I would get her on the call because she is one of the co-founders of Dream Bigger, Live Louder, and one of the big keys to our team is shifting mindset. So, Abby, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself and why you decided to start shifting your mindset overall?
Cool. Like Allie said, my name is Abby. I live in Mesa, Arizona. I have a husband. We've been married for almost kind of 2 years, I think. That sounds right. Um, I have two dogs, which I love and adore. And this whole mindset journey thing, I do want to emphasize that truly mindset is a journey and it's not just a linear one. There's a lot of ups and downs that come with it, but what first motivated me to kind of start shifting my mindset is just simply I wasn't happy with how my life was unfolding. I felt like at the time I was doing everything right. I started to get some traction and getting my faith back with God. I was really working on my relationship with Gabe, but there was just something missing that I couldn't really figure out what it was until I started to dive into this whole world of mindset and having a positive mindset and really just being um, self-aware of how you're feeling in a moment.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love that so much. So since you started this kind of shift into positive thinking and getting control basically of your own mind back, what do you think is the most effective tool when you are doing a mindset training?
So, two words really come to mind for me when thinking about effective tools, and one is consistency, and the other is grace. So, just staying consistent as much as you can in terms of being aware of what you're thinking. Because, guys, our minds are such powerful tools. We don't really realize how powerful they are until we start to use them in a more full capacity. So just being consistent, setting that intention that whether that looks like a daily routine, a nightly routine, or even just like setting reminders in your phone a few times a day saying like I am going to think of 3 things that I'm grateful for at 11:11 today. And um I should do that. That's a good time.
Great.
Um
I'm just not thinking of that.
And then the second one being grace, because with everything, mindset training truly is a practice. And with any practice, it takes practice, and no one is perfect. No one's going to just shoot out of the wound and be like, okay, I'm perfect. I got this all figured out. Like, that's not what being a human is. So, giving yourself grace in terms of like, if you miss a day of, thinking of something that you're grateful for, or you get really mad at someone because they piss you off for some reason. Like, it's all okay. Feel those feelings and kind of just accept them for what they are, but remember to not dwell on them and kind of move on a little bit.
Yes, and one thing I love to remember is that the mind is a muscle, so it needs a constant workout of that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's so true. So kind of along those lines, what do you think, as far as money mindset goes, how exactly does that affect the way that we make money? Since the mind is such a powerful tool, can you just kind of elaborate like how we think about money and how that correlates to how we make money?
Yes, I would love to. So for me, I know I kind of touched on this a little bit in the last question, but it kind of just all comes back to gratitude. If you can't be grateful for what you do have, then how can you expect any more to come in? So I kind of like to think of it as it's like lifting weights. So one day, if you can't lift 50 pounds today, then is it really wise to think that you can lift 100 pounds tomorrow? So, really, just kind of working on setting that intention again of inviting that sort of abundance into your life. It's just another one of those things that's going to take time. I would also recommend, if you haven't done anything in terms of finding where I guess the pain point is in terms of where money comes into mind, think back to how your childhood was and to see, how did your parents handle the money? What kind of environment did you grow up in terms of kind of forming that money mindset for yourself? And are you still carrying that over into adulthood and just doing these subconscious practices with money that you may not even be realizing until you start to think about it a little bit more?
Yeah, well, that's some great insight. I know for me, I really have to work on that abundance mindset because I get really stuck in a bubble where it's like, oh, I'm just so broke, but like that is my lack speaking, and I need to let that go in order to let abundance come to me, basically. So, just on that note, since we're speaking about money mindset, has there been any big breakthroughs for you recently since starting this journey?
Yeah, so there have been quite a few breakthroughs. I was kind of thinking through this when you sent me the questions a little bit earlier this week. And I just kind of came to that it's really just so much bigger than me. It's, I used to, there was this like nationwide commercial that would always come on TV when I was a child, and their tagline was, finally the world revolves around you. And then I would look at my mom and be like, see, it does revolve around me. um but really, like, it's not just about you, it's so much bigger than any one person. So if you pray for patience, for example, like, God is not just going to sprinkle some patience magic dust on you and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, it's okay, I can wait in this 3-hour line to get postage stamps, like, it's fine. No, he's going to give you opportunities to practice and kind of flex that muscle of strengthening your patience. I really wish that God worked like that, because that would be amazing. But life lessons along the way, how else are we going to learn, I began to realize that my words have an impact. And if I'm not showing up as my authentic self, then what is the point of really showing up for someone that way? I kind of realized that for myself, I would let my insecurities kind of take over me a little bit, and then I would just like sink into the shell, or I would either go the opposite way and completely overcompensate for something and like just start doing stuff that normally I wouldn't even think to do. But just kind of taking a breath, and in like a stressful situation or an anxious situation, just kind of checking back in and being like, okay, so this may annoy me a little bit right now, but it's okay. Is it physically harming someone? Or is it just me just being kind of annoyed? And it's the latter. So it's okay. I can just brush it off. And then if I'm still thinking about it later, I can politely bring it up to them and be like, you know what? That kind of didn't really sit well with me, but I'm accepting you for you. And just kind of go off like that. So it sounds kind of cheesy and like a little bit easier said than done. But once you start putting that into practice and really just being, reminding yourself to check in with yourself in terms of like, how am I handling the situation right now? And is that the most effective way to do it? And then make that decision and go from there.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, I love that. Wow, this leads into my next question really so well, because I was wondering, in your personal opinion, what is your favorite slash go-to remedy for a bad day when just like all the cards feel like they're stacked against you? What do you do to make sure you don't stay in a rut? Because we've got stuff to do, girl, and we can't always be like that.
Yeah, that's a really good question, especially because a couple of days ago, it wasn't the best day for me. And well, I thought it wasn't going to be the best day for me. And then I talked it out with you, Allie,
That's
and you
right.
kind of made me realize that, like, no, you're fine. It's just a fleeting situation. It's not gonna, you don't have to let it take over your entire day. And then I remember you telling me, this was like a few months ago, I believe, but you were like, you know what? A 15-second decision can completely change your life.
Oh yeah, so
So
true.
putting it out there and deciding for 15 seconds, I'm going to have a productive day. I'm not going to let this stop me. It really just, it makes an entire difference. And once I started remembering that single fact that you told me, it was like a freeing moment, dude. It was like full of control.
Oh my gosh.
And I always think back to, like, you know what? Was it a not so good 5 minutes that I'm dwelling on and playing victim to myself and making it into a bad day? Or was it truly just like a 5 minute situation and I need to just move on with my life from there?
I'm honestly so touched that I've influenced your life so much that like you're putting what I've said months ago into practice. Like seriously, so touched. But anyway, just to conclude this little mini series, I just want to know like let's say I am feeling like okay, I resonate with a lot of things that you said about your previous life that you just were stuck in this just like negativity, just like whirlpool. And maybe I just don't really know where to start. What advice would you give to me to take my first steps to this journey of freeing my mind?
So that's a really good question. And I was thinking a lot about this. And it kind of, I just touched on it with the 15-second decision thing. And that's kind of what it boils down to is the consistency, the grace that you give yourself. And in the beginning, all that you need to do is make that decision and then maintain integrity with yourself. You're making a commitment to yourself saying, you know what? The life that I'm living right now, it's hard to admit, but it's not the best for me. I am made for so much more than this. I can do so many big things, but there's something in my mind that is holding me back, and I just need to release that. So once you make that decision to move forward and you stay consistent with yourself, even when no one is looking, even when you're not posting about it every day, even when you get that, you know, almost like twist in your heart when someone asks you a question about like, oh, how's your mindset doing, or like something of the like, and you're like, ooh, like I don't really know how to answer that, but just breathe it out and be like, you know what, it's a journey, and right now I feel freaking fantastic going through it. So I hope that helped.
Oh my gosh, wow. Thank you so much, Abby, for coming onto the Zoom and giving us a little bit of insight to your mindset journey because everyone is so different, but I literally love hearing about yours because we're pals. I don't know what to say. I think you're really cool. And I've been so close to you during this journey. It's just so cool to have seen you evolve from where we used to be to where we are now. It's seriously so amazing. So thank you so much for taking time out of your day and snuggling with your doggies and Gabe. And yeah, I really appreciate it, Abby.
Thank you for thinking of me and having me on. This was like super fun, and I think that we should do it more often.
I agree.
Allie, where can we find you and where can we
OMG.
find me?
Where can you find me? Well, you can find me on Instagram. My handle is momlife with Allie underscores. I'll put it in the links below. And I have a Facebook business page just at Allie Fever. If you message me there or on Instagram in a direct message, I can contact you quicker. That's just my best, most preferred method. Yeah, thanks again. Stay hydrated. We'll see you next time.